Okay, so to sew the pouch together, we're gonna use slip stitch all the way around. And so we're gonna put stitch markers into the first and last stitch of where we're going to sew. So it doesn't really matter which sides you use because they're the same. So there's no right or wrong sides technically yet until we do the seams. But you wanna make sure that your foundation starting chains are matching up when you sew together. And we are basically going to sew all the way around this curve here, and that is going to act as the pouch. So I'm gonna take my stitch marker and put it in this corner first stitch and match it up with the corner stitch on the other side of the pouch. So those correlating stitches you stitch mark together, and then you're gonna come down to the corner here, right where you begin the foundation chain, and you're gonna stitch mark those last two chains as well. So you're gonna do this one, and then this is the last one here. That way you know when you are slip stitching, you don't miss any stitches and end up with an uneven pouch. So to begin, we're gonna start down here where the curve starts. And we could take that stitch marker out because we know where we're gonna begin on these last two stitches here. And insert your hook into that last stitch, and then into the other last stitch on the other side. Might be a little tricky, but... And then what we're gonna do is insert our yarn, or reattach our yarn, rather. So you're gonna put your yarn on the hook and pull through, and then we're gonna chain one to secure. And then you could pull the tail end so it gets a little tight there. And then I'm gonna go into the next stitch here, and then the correlating next stitch on the other side of the pouch. And where you're going to slip stitch those two together, so yarn over and pull through both loops. Now we're gonna do that with each correlating stitch on each side of the pouch, and we're gonna sew all along this line. Okay, so once we sew across the bottom curve here, you're gonna get up to the single crochets that we made before. So you're gonna see them, the double V's on each side, whereas when we sewed this together, it was a little harder to see because the edges weren't as straight. So we are going to go into the front loop of this first pouch side, and then the corresponding side we're going to go into the back loop, and we're going to do that all the way across each corresponding stitch, and we're going to slip stitch seam that way because it makes it more seamless and it blends in with the actual stitch here, so it looks a lot better in the end. So go ahead and slip stitch and go through all three loops, and then go into the next one, the front loop only. And then on the other side, go into that back loop and yarn over and pull through all three loops. And we are going to do that across the whole thing until you get to the stitch marker. And when you get to the stitch marker, you could cut your yarn and fasten off. And then that should have your pouch sewn up. If you flip it inside out, you'll see the pouch shape, and you could set it aside while we connect the waistband together.